Welcome back to the Commercial Real Estate Show. I'm Michael Bull. Today we're talking about student housing. Our show is called Student Housing Forecasts and Opportunities. Please welcome my next guest. Is Brent Little. He's president of Fountain Residential, and they are a developer, an investor, an asset manager of student housing properties pretty much all over the country, right, Brent? Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Michael. How are you?
We appreciate you being in Studio One today. So tell us what you guys are up to at Fountain. Are you guys buyers or sellers this market? Are you developers? And where are you? What are you doing today?
Right. We're student housing developers, and we develop all across the United States. Some of our most recent properties have been all the way from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Bozeman, Montana, to San Antonio, Texas, and Fayetteville, Arkansas. So any major university really with a full-time enrollment of about 10,000 students or above across the country is a place that we're interested in.
So you're spending a lot of times in the planes and airports, right?
A lot of times in planes and airports, that's correct. So.
And what do you think about the future enrollment in colleges and how that's going to impact student housing moving forward?
Well, right now, with the growth of the millennial demographic in the United States, we're seeing enrollment is projected to grow about 2.2 million students over the next 8 years. Mm-hmm. So that's about an average of 300,000 students per year. And this year, there's projected to be 45,000 new off-campus beds developed. So that's only about 15% of the demand from those new students over the next 8 years. So it's a significant demand and unmet demand today.
Right. So that's pretty amazing numbers. So why isn't there more new supply coming online? Is it a problem with getting construction financing, finding the right sites? What is it that's slowing supply?
Well, supply has been at an all-time high for the last couple of years. We've been developing about 60,000 beds of off-campus housing on an annual basis for the last couple of years, and it's declined to about 48,000 this year and projected to be 45,000 next year. And I think the primary reasons for that we're seeing are it's tougher and tougher to find good raw land. Around major universities. They're typically in urbanized areas, and most of the good sites have been taken. We're tearing down a lot of things. We've torn down Kmart's and biker bars and gas stations and you name it, we've torn it down and developed student housing there. At the same time, we're starting to see fear of an increase in interest rates with the latest elections and some of the things that Janet Yellen has been talking about. And that's decreased the spreads on the student housing, as well as just finding good sites, and construction loans are tightening up a little bit too. Yeah. With the effects of the Dodd-Frank legislation, it's tougher and tougher for banks to roll out that construction debt. We're starting to see that tighten up a little bit. But from Fountain Residential standpoint, we like that a little bit. We like a little tighter market, and we only do 2 to 3 deals a year across the United States. And so we're not a production shop. We just need to go find 2 or 3 good deals, and we're able to do that in today's marketplace.
I see, and I can't believe you tore down a biker's bar.
And that was in Sacramento, California.
Oh, was it?
The home of the legislature there. We got unanimous approval for our rezoning for some reason. I don't know why.
They have something against the bikers there. So you mentioned sites. So as we were talking to Taylor Gunn earlier at Axiometrics, she said that the production of the performance, rather, of student housing properties, the closer you are to the campus, seems like overall the better production you're having, performance you're having. So how close are the sites that you need, how close do they need to be to campus?
Well, I think it used to be in the 80s and 90s when student housing was really created, off-campus student housing as a segment. We really focused in kind of 2 to 3 miles away from campus. We typically built garden apartments, so we'd be finding 10 to 20 acre parcels, getting those rezoned and building 3-story garden walk-ups, very conventional apartments. And what we found over time was the performance of those projects that were closer and closer to campus was better from both a lease-up standpoint and an average rental rate and a general occupancy. So What's happened over the years is there's been a preference both from the students voting with their pocketbooks and their feet to be closer to campus. To give you an example, back in Austin, there was an area called Riverside that was about 5 miles away from campus at UT, and that's where all the student housing was. And people were paying $400 to $500 a bed to live in that housing. Austin rezoned an area right next to campus for high-rise and higher density development there, and everyone came in and built higher density and high-rise apartments there and started getting $900 to $1,000 and above now. Wow. So that supported the additional construction cost and the land cost for those closer sites, and that's what's been being deployed now. We used to call it walk to campus locations, and really what we're looking for now that we call fall out of bed to campus locations, because I think in the last several years about the farthest from campus that we've developed a property is about 3 blocks. And so we're really looking for those that are adjacent to campus.
Well, fall out of bed, that's a lot better than stagger home location, right? So how are you finding the municipalities? I think a lot of cities in zoning and entitlement, they would like to have student housing, like that student population to kind of help those market areas. Are you finding that they're working with you on entitlement and zoning for these properties?
There's a broad range of answers to that question. Yeah. Some cities understand the issue that they have. We have one market where the city understands that there's only about 20, on a national basis, only about 20 to 25% of students are able to be housed on campus. Mm-hmm. And the universities, they have to deploy their capital first for academics and of course second for football, the important things.
Right.
And so they look out at the marketplace and go, well, our students can be housed elsewhere, but they can't be taught anywhere else. So that's where they have to deploy their capital and use their valuable land resources. So some cities look at it and go, well, that's great, and like Austin did, and said, let's try to rezone it so that we can get students close to campus, not have them go out into our population centers and use up our valuable resources and get further out into the city or the county and reduce the traffic and fire and everything else that's needed for those. But there's a real town versus gown kind of mentality that we see. And you'll go in there and you'll say, well, we want to build this project right next to campus, and they go, well, we'd really like to see condos there, 1 and 2 bedroom condos. And you go, well, there's no demand for $500,000 condos next to campus. Yeah. What there's a demand for is the 30,000 people that go to school here and the 20,000 people that work here to have a place to live. Yeah. And they don't really seem to understand that. So we try to help them understand that it doesn't matter what we build, that's what's going to occupy this, and the students would really rather have our type of accommodations than a $500,000 condo.
Yeah. So what would you say right now? I mean, there's a lot of planners around the country that listen to this show, and if they have a university there in their market, what would you tell them about density and zoning? And
I like to work with the communities that want to put the students and the administrators very close to the campus. Mm-hmm. That makes sense to me, rather than have them go out into the neighborhoods, take owner-occupied housing, whether it's condos or single-family housing, and convert it to student housing. We can put it right next to campus. It needs to be thoughtful. It needs to meet with the architecture, but that's what I'd like to see them do more.
All right, well, stay tuned. We'll have more on student housing. This is the Commercial Real Estate Show. Stay with us. Hey there, thanks for checking out the Commercial Real Estate Show. Don't miss a video of special interest to you. Be sure to subscribe below. And if you appreciate the videos, be sure and thank our sponsors. There's a link to more information about them in the description. For more videos, podcasts, and articles, check out creshow.com.